When the sun sets, we don't grieve for it. We know that it rose and it will set. There's something that was bound to happen. Why should we feel so bad about it? One day we will go ourselves. Utilize that opportunity to develop the spirit of detachment and renunciation, that truly everything is temporary in this world. And all these relationships will all wither away one day. Let me seek my eternal relative, my soul beloved, who is God.
I have a question about how can we forget painful events in our lives. So, having been through a recent loss in the family, just trying to understand how can we try to forget that.
Yes. When you suffer the loss of a near and dear one, it's an extremely painful experience because of those emotional bonds that held you together. And all of a sudden, those bonds have got snapped. So at that time, the experience of grief is very natural. You should expect to go through that feeling of grief unless you have reached that level of detachment, which is very few. So there will be certain natural experiences. First of all, you may be affected by disbelief. The mind refuses to believe that this person is actually gone. So there will be a period of denial, of disbelief. No, that person is actually there. And then will be the sense of guilt, which sometimes comes. Is there something that I did not do which I could have done? Or was it in my ability to save this person, but I did not exert myself? These feelings of guilt also come. And then sometimes you are overcome by anger. Anger upon yourself, anger upon God, anger upon the person who left. And then comes the period of grief. So that period of grief may be a few days for someone, a few weeks for somebody else, a few months for someone else. All this is natural. When you suffer the loss of a near and dear one, expect these things to happen. But then, going through it, you have to recover, recollect yourself, and decide to move on with your life. For your sake and for the sake of the person who has left. Now, our Vedic scriptures say that nobody actually dies. That person has gone by his or her own karmas. And would it give pleasure to that person to see that we are grieving and making our own existence painful? Or would the person be more pleased to see that we have recovered from the grief and we have now taken charge and are utilizing our life in a meaningful and beneficial manner? So decide that my human form is too precious to waste it in grief. And as soon as possible, overcome the grief. In our Hindu traditions, there is the period of grieving which is 12 days or Tervi. The 13th day, until the 13th day, people suspend all activities and they sit and grieve. So that much time is allowed. But after that, if the grieving continues, that is not allowed. In other words, if you are still grieving after that, then decide this is my own weakness, my own attachment, and it will not please God and Guru if I keep the grief. I must overcome this. So Bring knowledge to yourself. Everybody had to go one day. When the sun sets, we don't grieve for it. We know that it rose and it will set. There's something that was bound to happen. Why should we feel so bad about it? One day we will go ourselves. Utilize that opportunity to develop a spirit of detachment and renunciation, that truly everything is temporary in this world. And all these relationships will all wither away one day. Let me seek my eternal relative, my soul beloved, who is God. Utilize this reversal, this material reversal, or this grief that came upon you as something that pushes you further towards God. That will be the proper way to handle it and to utilize it.